Deborah, and I am so excited to welcome you to the first ever episode of this micro podcast. Um, just to give you a little bit of an idea, micro podcast, in my definition, is just something that is really small, bite size, easily digestible, nothing too crazy. I don't think I'm going to make an episode longer than 30 minutes, to be honest. It's going to be really short and sweet, give you all the information that you need that you have been wanting to collect, but have been too busy in your life to kind of catch up on every little piece of news. So this is just going to be a little way to share the information that we all love. It's a fangirl podcast. It's hosted by a fangirl, and it's hosted by a busy mom. So I understand the feelings of like being bombarded with all this information and not having the time to sit down with it. So this podcast is really going to help you catch up with all the things that you love and not take up too much of your time, because we are busy. And yeah, that's just the gist of it. It's really exciting to be back on the air after 2 months, and I can't wait to dive in. So as Violet Bridgerton says so eloquently, we shall do what women do, we shall talk. So yeah, it feels really weird to kind of like be back. It feels like no time has gone by, but also feels like forever since I've kind of taken out my trusty microphone and recorded on a podcast. Last time I was on the air, I was part of a different podcast. So those of you who have been following will have known that I was on a podcast called Rational Romantics for almost a year, actually. Coming up on a year. We started back in February 2025, right after the Valentine's Day event for Bridgerton season 4. And we did a lot of episodes. A lot of work went into that podcast. And I know a lot of you were surprised when I left and had a lot of questions. So I kind of want to start off this first episode of this podcast, kind of addressing that a little bit. I don't want to get into too much detail, because I am only one half of that podcast, or I was one half of that podcast. So, yeah, I think ultimately it just kind of feels weird that like I'm podcasting, but I'm not talking to anybody right now, but it's okay. I'll get used to it. But yeah, I would love to just kind of explain what happened. As you guys know, I started a new job back around the time actually where the podcast started. So it was kind of something that I thought I could do in tandem. I thought that I could do both. And long story short, I couldn't. Surprise, surprise, I couldn't. But I tried my best, right? I had a really busy job that consumed my life entirely, completely. Like every time I would open my phone, I'd be working because I was working in social media. So it was constant. It was truly constant. And it kind of took me away from, the Bridgerton content and my online shop that I loved to do so much before. So in my mind, I was like, well, you know what? If I have this podcast, that's like my official content. If I'm doing this podcast, it'll just be 2 birds, 1 stone. Like I get to talk about my favorite things, and then it's going to like organically create content that will go out about the things that have like happened in Bridgerton or whatever it may be, because we covered a lot of topics, right? So there was like that like naivete at thinking that that's what was going to be the easy way to do it. But we were doing like an episode every single week. It was a lot. And I was doing the editing of the podcast. Um, and like the tasks were like split pretty evenly and we were in a good rhythm, but my job just became really, really hard and really consuming. And eventually it kind of just took me away from being able to consistently show up for the podcast. And so the last time I was on the air with Rational Romantics was just before Cass and I went to London for Ollie Higginson's show, which was super exciting. And I know that a lot of people thought, oh my gosh, like something must have happened in London. Like, why is she suddenly not part of the podcast? And I just want to like make it clear that like we had the best time in London. It was incredible. We had so much fun. The experience that we had in London was not the reason for me leaving the podcast, because it was wonderful and we had so much fun. And I just came back from that trip to the most stressful part of like my job. It was deeply, deeply overwhelming and I was burning out. And I could not do both anymore. And so I decided to take a break from the podcast, just to like wrap things up at work, recharge my battery, and come back just before Christmas. When I was ready to come back, there were still like hurdles to climb over, and I couldn't commit to the expectation anymore. So I said, I can't. I will do something my own way that works for me. So that is what happened. And I had basically like 2 months to kind of find myself again. So I found myself again in my content on Instagram, on YouTube, and I was missing this. I was missing doing the podcast. And looking back at 2025, we had such like a great roster of guests, and it's just something that I want to keep doing. So here we are in this podcast, in this setting. You know, I got a webcam, I've got lighting. I feel like it's like Deb podcasting like 2.0. And I kind of love that for me. So with this episode being kind of like the first of my micro podcast situation, I wanted to keep it short and sweet. And as I'm recording this, it is the eve of the Bridgerton premiere in Paris, which is very exciting. And I just know that tomorrow there's going to be an insane amount of stuff to talk about, which I'll try and consolidate. So we are the day after the masquerade ball. I can't believe we went to the masquerade ball yesterday. I mean, I want to say it went without a hitch, but it did not go without a hitch. I didn't think the masquerade ball would be almost 5 hours long, but that's besides the point. Technical issues aside, for the most part, most of us were able to see episode 1 of Bridgerton season 4 yesterday. So if you don't want spoilers, I would just skip ahead or maybe just stop listening, because I think that for the rest of this, we're going to be talking spoilers here. So I don't want to ruin anybody's experience if they didn't get to see episode 1. So if you don't want spoilers, this is your warning. I just want to go through kind of like top level notes and like things that stuck with me almost 24 hours after the fact, because there's so much in episode 1 Of course there always is, but these are the things that made me like stop and pause and like or react. Which, side note, my reaction video is pending. It's coming. I literally recorded myself watching the entire episode, so you're gonna get like the raw reactions, raw dogging it, as it were. But let's just start off with like my surface level thoughts. First and foremost, I'm gonna kind of go chronologically from like what I remembered. First and foremost, I am immediately stressed at the multiple mention of mistresses by Violet Bridgerton to Benedict Bridgerton. There was a lot of talk of mistresses. I don't think I've heard the word mistress in Bridgerton so far. So I'm nervous about that because I have conflicting feelings about the whole offer from the gentleman. So I don't love the seed planting that's happening here. But anyways, the other thing that I got a little emotional because it just brought me back so much to Downton Abbey. I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan. So the moment that we kind of like followed the staff downstairs and to see those sets for the first time, it was breathtaking. And when I spoke to Ollie Higginson, who plays Footman John, in the summer, he said that one of the most incredible things about season 4 is really the sets that they built for the downstairs staff. It's a whole new world down there, and it gave me so many Downton Abbey vibes with like the bells and like the hustle and bustle and like the you shouldn't be on a break. Pretty sure I saw scuff marks. Why are your boots dirty? Oh, it's so good. Honestly, it's the bells. Really, it's the bells. Because it's just, oh gosh, it just brought me right back. So I am giddy at the downstairs staff part of all of this. It is so far super well done. And I am obsessed with the Footman John appearances. He's in this for like a good part of the episode, and he's cheeky. He's cheeky. He's good at his job, so he can be cheeky. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. And I loved to see the staff spilling tea. You know? It was just so cool to see that different perspective. To see like Footman John and Mrs. Wilson and, oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank on her name. Blanking on her name. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna hate myself later. Anyways, they're just like, have you seen Benedict? And they look at Footman John, and Footman John's like, shh, I know where Benedict is. That whole sequence was incredible. The like, get my carriage, we're going. Oh, it was so good. It was so well done. I'm obsessed. I think I'm gonna go with another stressor. Maybe we'll do like stress and like not stressed. Colin Bridgerton was not there. He barely spoke, and he didn't contribute to the episode at all. And I didn't like that. I feel like there was an opportunity at the very least at the masquerade ball for him to be like the walking in on Benedict and Sophie and be like, whoa, sorry, and be like the drunk call it. Like that would have been so good. So many opportunities, but he's just like, just there. And I actually saw an interview this morning with Luke Newton, and the interviewer the interviewer was like, oh, like, how does it feel like this season now being kind of like the one who can kind of help out his siblings, whatever. And he's like, that's not really what he's doing. Like, he's just kind of like enjoying life. And I'm like, oh my God, Colin is so like passive so far, and I don't love that. So hopefully we get more into like the Lord Featherington, the whole like sharing a house with his mother-in-law situation, and he can, I don't know, have more of a personality. But at the very least, if this means that it's like calling my wife Bridgerton, like, I'll give it time, you know? Another thing that stood out and I was like, what just happened, was Lady Danbury. I thought she was dying. What? I was like, what? Holy shit, why? Where's she going? Why? Is she okay? I was stressed. And then how it was played off like as like a joke, how the queen was like, no. I don't know where that's going. So that's an interesting one. Penelope and the queen, love the dynamic. Stress for her mental health. I'm stressed for Penelope's mental health. She's a mom. She's a working mom. I don't want to see her burn out here. She's got a lot of shit to do. And she's got a lot of expectations. And like, dying over the fact that Benedict is like the diamond of the season. Why? Like, I know there's no more diamond of the season, but like, tell me you're the diamond without telling me you're the diamond. Like, him. What? That was interesting. Another thing that stood out, obviously, is Eloise being like, I'm on the shelf. I've figured it all out. I have nobody to talk to in Scotland, so I'm going to figure out a way to be in society and enjoy conversation without having to get married. Like, I love the energy. I love the energy, my girl. But like, 3 years out in society, your girl Pen just married your brother after 3 years. You're not on the shelf. Pipe down a little bit. But I love the energy. Another interesting thing that just like popped up and I was like, ooh, that's weird, was Francesca being like, or no, like it was, wait, who was it? It was John telling Francesca like, yeah, you're really distant with Michaela, with my cousin, da 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 da. And it's like, I was kind of expecting the opposite, but she seems to want to get as far away from Scotland as possible. So that was an interesting thing. I didn't realize that that's where it was going to go, but it is what it is. That's fine. I trust the process. Trust the process. And now let's like dive into Benedict and Sophie. Sophie is perfection. She is so perfect. When she didn't know, oh my god, I just forgot until this moment. When she goes like, my girl, you're so lost. You're so lost. Oh, so funny. And they mentioned that Yerenha is like really good with like her physical comedy and her physical performances. And I'm like, there she goes. Right out the gate. So endearing. And I love every interaction. It was like reading the book. It was like reading the book. Like, I want to reread those chapters because it felt like word for word. And I love that. The dancing outside, oh my goodness. It was so beautiful. The intimacy in the conversations they were having, how it was so clearly something that Benedict had never experienced before with a woman or a man. Anybody. He's never experienced it at all. Side note, that's just reminding me. I love the action Benedict gets at the beginning of this episode. You get it. You get your fix, my dude. I loved it. But yeah, I just felt like, I don't know. It was so unique, I think is what it was. But it was so true to the book too. So it was like familiar, but it felt like unique for the whole series. So I loved it. Like 10 out of 10. I absolutely wanted to like cry when she went in for the kiss. Oh, I was like, yes, go girl, go. YOLO, you know this is your only chance. Well, as far as you know. She went in for the kiss. Oh, I loved it so much. It was so good, so good, so good, so good. And two more things. One, people thought that Sophie was like robbed of an introduction. Because she just kind of arrives. And for me too, I was like, that's weird. That's weird. Because in the book, chapter 1 is, well, first off, there's the prologue where we get the whole background story on Sophie, which I suspect is going to be a topic for like an entire episode at a later point, like diving into like her past with her father. But So when we start chapter 1, we kind of know Sophie. Chapter 1, it's Sophie's point of view at the masquerade, and then chapter 2, it's Benedict's point of view at the masquerade. So I feel like what's happening is that we got kind of like chapter 2 first, and then we're gonna get chapter 1 next episode, and then I think it's just going to make sense. Like, I don't, like, there's a whole bunch of scenes that haven't happened that we've seen in previews and trailers that of her like getting ready and being told like you gotta go and all these things. So do not fret, it is coming, I'm sure. And the last thing, the introduction, the intro, Benedict on the tree. I cannot, I love it so much. There's just something about that, the smallest detail. But the thing that threw me was the staircases. And Ollie Higginson himself, Footman John, told us in the summer that every second word we're going to be saying is staircase, and it starts today because there's a staircase in the introduction. What happens in the staircase? I cannot wait. I cannot wait. But honestly, I would say this episode was perfection. My pollen heart wanted more Colin, but it's not all about them anymore. So it's okay. I will be patient. I will wait and see. But I thought it was perfect. I thought it was so perfect. And I can't believe we had to wait 2 weeks. But all that to say, my reaction video will be coming soon. I am so excited to share this journey with you guys on this podcast. So thank you guys so much for joining my new podcast, We Shall Talk, because it has been, I feel like, a long time coming for me to have something that's all mine that I can share with you, and it's all of me in this podcast and my thoughts and when I'm going to record, how I'm going to do it, when I'm going to put it out, and it's nice to be able to share these thoughts and these excitements with you guys again. So stay tuned. Obviously there's more to come. There's special guests to come. So be sure to subscribe to either YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening right now. And we'll be back very, very soon.